So this afternoon, we're going to talk a little bit about power converters, uh, how they charge, when they don't charge, what happens when there's a customer service call or report that a power converter is not functioning. So first off, I've got a number of different power converters here. I've got a section that came out of one of these converters. I got a couple deck mount converters. I've got Progressive Dynamics 50 amp service 60 amp power converter. I've got a 35 amp WIFCO, and then I've got a 55 amp WIFCO here. So got them up, and I've pre-wired them so they're functional. So when you're doing it in the shop, a lot of times you're gonna be connected to the entire trailer. So we'll talk about what needs to happen to properly diagnose these when they're in the trailer. So first off, you're going to want to have a multimeter that you can set to the DC range. Nothing special about the multimeter. Again, it can be about any multimeter as long as you've got a DC range here. So multimeters up. All power converters have reverse polarity fuses in them. What those fuses are, if the battery cables are connected backwards. So your positive cable is put on the negative terminal of the battery, and your negative terminal is put on the positive. So they're just reversed. To protect the circuitry in the power converter, it's going to blow these fuses. So you can see on this Progressive Dynamics 60 amp, there's 320 amp, 25 amp fuses. You can see on this 60 amp deck mount, there's 325 amp fuses. This is a smaller 45. It's got two of those reverse polarity fuses. This WIFCO's got a single 40. This WIFCO's got two 40s. So it depends on what the size of the power converter is. Those reverse polarity fuses will blow if the battery is hooked up backward just for a fraction of a second. So if you get a report that the power converter isn't working, check those reverse polarity fuses before you go any further. If the reverse polarity fuses are good, the next thing we're going to want to do is disconnect the battery wires from the power converter. So basically, where your battery wires came into the power converter, you're going to want to take those out. Basically, it's just a hex connector there, and we're going to take our wires out, and then we're going to insert our probes in, and we're going to just power up the trailer now. And you'll watch what happens here. It's coming up, and it's showing this particular one is a multi-stage power converter, and it went 13.2, 13.6, 14.3, then it'll go back to 13.6. Next, we're going to go to this PDI all-in-one power converter. So this one's a little bit different in the fact that you don't have a deck mount, you don't have terminals here, but what we've got is terminals here on this circuit board. So if you'll look at this, we've got a ground, the white wire, and a 12-volt power wire here. We're going to put our probes on those two terminals, and you can see we've got 13.6 volts there. So again, we've taken our battery wires off, we've disconnected those, so the only thing that we're looking at is the voltage output from the power converter itself. Now, while we're looking at this, also I want to point out that right down here on this circuit board is a dip switch, and this power converter comes preset for lead acid batteries. But if you slide this dip switch over to the lithium, to the Li port, and look at the output of this power converter, you'll see that it just went up to 14.5, 14.4. I move that back over to the lead acid, you'll see it went back to 13.6. So all that to say, if you want to fully charge a lithium battery, you move that dip switch on these Progressive Dynamic power converters over to Li for lithium, and if you have lead acid, you're going to leave it over at the La so it charges and doesn't blow your batteries over by being in the lithium mode. By the way, all the new power converters like this have a porthole in the side, and you depress that with a paper clip, and you can cycle that through to lithium batteries versus lead acid batteries. So here we've got a Wifco power converter, and there are no easy access points on this power converter like there were on the Progressive Dynamics one. And so on this one, we're going to go ahead and plug it in. But to check the power output on this Wifco power converter, we're going to hook up to the white wire on the back side. So again, we've disconnected the coach. You can leave everything that's connected to all these other wires can remain connected, but we're going to disconnect anything connected to the orange and white wires. We're going to plug our multimeter into the orange and the white. And again, I should have my voltage. So that's the Wifco 35. And again, one single 40 amp reverse polarity fuse. So here's the Wifco 55 power converter. And this one is a little bit different in the fact that it's got an exposed circuit board. And here I can go ahead and you can see here we've got the white wire and the red wire coming off the circuit board. If I go ahead and probe between the red and the white, I've got my 14.4 volts. So these power converters are auto detect. So they will detect what type of battery you've got, whether it's a lead acid battery or whether it's a lithium battery. The one thing I'd like to say about that is the only way these things know what battery is in there is to figure out how deep they discharge and then how long it takes to charge. And that takes multiple charge and discharge cycles for both of these converters that are auto detect to figure out what kind of battery it is. So a customer takes delivery of his new trailer and he says his lithium batteries aren't charged all the way. And that's the way it's going to be because these come in factory presets for lead acid batteries. So that customer is going to have to discharge his lithium battery and charge it all the way back up multiple times before this thing will actually detect lithium and switch over to the lithium charge mode. Voltage range on these power converters, all of them should charge in the lead acid battery range. All of them should charge a nominal 13.6 volts. That's the optimal charge for a regular lead acid battery. If you've got a customer that complains his lights are, maybe they've blown out or he's got high voltage here, he could have, if he's got over about 14.6 volts coming out of this and he's in the lead acid battery mode, his power converter is likely bad. Sometimes what will happen is on the production line, they'll strip some wires and some of these copper strands will get up on the circuit board and short across and they'll do some high voltage outputs. But if in fact you've got more than about 14.6 coming out of this power converter, it's defective. If it won't charge 13.2, which is float charge, or it's nominal 13.6, the power converter is likely bad. So you might want to know, why do we disconnect our battery wires here at the power converter to check the power converter? Well, your trailer may have multiple charge devices in it. It may have a solar charge controller. So if you're getting 14 volts out of your solar charge controller and you haven't disconnected your battery wires from your power converter, you may be actually seeing the charge voltage from your solar charge controller. If in fact you've got, let's say you're connected to your tow vehicle and you've got a DC to DC charge controller and you would also be charging your battery. So you've got multiple locations where a charge can come from. So to just emphasize the point, if you want to really check a power converter, you're going to do two things. You're going to disconnect the battery wires and you're going to check the voltage right at the device, and you're going to check the reverse polarity fuses and make sure they are good. You never want to send back a power converter for a warranty replacement with blown reverse polarity fuses, because that warranty claim obviously is automatically going to get rejected. It's a very easy thing to do to check the fuses. You know, they've all got, you can virtually see through them, and if you can't see through them, you can, you know, turn your multimeter over to the ohm reading and you can check between them. And if you got a good connection across the fuse, you know the fuse is good. So that's about it on the power converters.